afternoon. Welcome to the School Leadership and Management A. This is DK Mbangula, and I'll take you through the presentations for 2020 School Leadership and Management A, presentation that will prepare you for your examinations. I'll start by saying this presentation leads you to examination preparation and enable you to pass this course. The course is tailored as follows. To pass this course, you need to obtain 50% in your assignment to be admitted to examination. In other words, you need to make sure that you put some effort in your assignment so that you get better marks that enable you to qualify for admission to examination. You also need to get 50% in examination to pass it. In essence, what we are saying here is that regardless of the passage of the assignment, whether it's 100%, you still need to pass the examination. That's why sometimes you find you had 90 CA marks, but then you go to the examination with the pretext of saying, no, I have already 90 points or 90%, so I only need maybe 10%, then I can pass the course. It doesn't work that way in this course, and perhaps in all in universities courses. You need to pass the examination with 50% or above. Then that will enable you to pass the course. Equally, do not be just rely on the assessment marks, because you also need to master the examination so that you will be able to pass it. So in essence, what you need to do is to make sure that when you go to examination, you are ready and you are able to get the points that enable you to pass, which is 50% and above. There are different concerns I have observed also from the previous students, your colleagues. Number one, students seem not to know how to go about reading their study guides. The easiest approach to read your study guide, of course, is by using the table of content to trace and find the exact page where a particular topic is in your study guide. What I mean here is that sometimes many students will start calling, I don't know where is this topic, but they say a guideline on your table of content, which is stipulating all the topics in your modules as per unit. So immediately after you get your study guide and your presentation, which is guiding you where to focus in examination, not necessarily to say the presentation is a examination scope, because that's where you also get it wrong. What we mean by presentation is to guide you to focus on specific topics, and you have to read those topics that are presented in full context. So now, once you see that topic in a presentation, and you are not familiar with the page, you just go back to the table of content. Then, say for example, for argument's sake, maybe it's characteristic of school with the culture of teaching and learning. That topic is already stipulated on the table of content, and it's already indicating the page numbers. So you just go straight there. Then you get all the answers. The next point is start reading early before examination and ask the tutor where you find it difficult to understand certain topics to be given a clarity or guidance on how to study certain topic. Of course, I know you are distance student, and sometimes you don't really have that full-time attention from us, and maybe you may also have some other obligations to do somewhere. So, but then the earlier you start reading, the better your chances of having enough time to master everything that is needed for you to have enough knowledge, content mastery, so that when you come to examination, everything is clear. And in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is that the earlier you start, the better your chances of also getting time to ask the tutor where things are not really clear, and find out how to go about certain aspects in certain units. Remember, we are not allowed, neither have right to give you the scope of what is coming in examination. But what we are trying to do is just to guide you to understand the content that eventually assists you to pass the examination. Because this is where most of you get it wrong. Sometimes when you are given a topic, you want us to give you a specific topic that's coming in examination. That's a scope. This is just a guide. A guide is like to facilitate your learning process to be more easier than just to give you the study guide and you are in your wildness and you don't know where to start, or sometimes you might focus on a certain topic and it's not really part of the examination. So the presentation is normally meant just to give you that these topics are numbered like Unit 3.1, Unit 3.2, Unit 3.4, Unit 3.5. So you may find that a certain topic from Unit 3, 3.1, 3.1.2.3, then it covers one topic. Then in a presentation, what we are doing now, we give you to focus on certain topics. Not to say we only pinpoint what is needed, but then as you are reading, you know already that this is the topic we are focusing on. Hence, the possibility of one of these factors or these things are likely to come in examination. That's the main aim of the presentation. So we start with Unit 1. The following topic will help you prepare for your examination. Firstly, we will look at, or rather I want you to look at organizational culture and the culture of teaching and learning. Of course, that's where you find sometimes at school which shows that there's a culture of teaching and learning taking place, and how the principal can help the school to develop a culture of teaching and learning. So all those factors, once you read this unit, you'll be able to get it. And if any question is crafted from that topic, there's no way you will fail such a paper. How the Namibian Ministry of Education contribute to the culture of teaching and learning? The ministry is entitled to make sure that schools are guided in such a way that they are given enough human resource. The schools are given enough resources, for example, the classrooms and other teaching aids that enable the teaching and learning to take place. So those are things that we are looking at. And we also look at how principal create a culture of teaching and learning as the manager in charge. Of course, these are straightforward topics in your study guides, where if you really have some time to visit your study guide, there's no way you'll be struggling to master such a content and enable you to pass the course. So the principal, as a principal manager, or as an overall manager in the school, or as a top manager in the school, of course you have to do certain things to make sure that the teaching and learning is taking place, and those are things that I want you to focus on. I think for Unit 1, those are the major topics that I want you to focus on. And once you focus, once you read around those topics, there's no doubt you will not fail this course. We are moving forward with Unit 2, types of culture in schools. As you all know, this is both certificate and a diploma. I think I'm not misguiding you there. So in some books, there are those cultures that they talk about: toxic culture, fragmented cultures. But then you find another book. Here I'm talking under correction. I don't know whether that's a certificate or the one for diploma. They talk of the same culture but using different names. So what I'm trying to say here is that whichever appears in your study guide as per your qualification, because this is a combination of two, you will be marked correctly. So just read what you find in your study guide and make sure that you know those types of cultures that you find. Like I have said earlier, that some of those examples that I can give you is fragmented cultures or toxic culture, of which some may find in their study guide that those names that I have given or have alluded above may not be the same names that you have in that. But then you write whichever appears in your guide, and you will still get marks. And the next topic of interest is factors influencing the development of culture in schools. If you look at your study guide, there are different factors that influence the development of culture in schools. A culture here, we are looking at what is happening in a school, and it becomes a norm for that school. And there are different things that are happening in schools that influence that norms or practices that are taking place in the school. Those are the factors that I'm trying to refer to. So if you check in your study guide, these are very straightforward factors. What you need is just to have some time and spend time with your study guide and read around, and you will be able to find out what are those factors that I'm referring to here. Then we look at the importance of positive school climate and factors involved. There's positive school climate here. We are looking at what is really happening in schools that are making positive impact on the atmospheric conditions of the school, for teaching and learning to take place, for good work relation, etc., etc., and the factors that are contributing to those. For example, there must be a good work relation, and all the teachers' need must be fulfilled so that teachers are happy and they are able to do their work. And there's all no other things of bullying, for example, or other things that are negatively affecting the teaching and learning to take place. Those are the factors that we are looking at that are contributing to the school climate. For Unit 2, I think those are the only few topics that you need to pay attention on, of which I think they are very straightforward, and they seem not to be too much difficult for anyone who always find time to read, and where you find problem, you ask the tutors. For example, sometime upon going through a presentation, what you need to do always is to make sure that you ask the tutor maybe just to take you through again in terms of maybe how can I sum this up, maybe to put it in your own context. Then it becomes easier for you, because the moment you digest the content and it becomes part of you, there's no way you will forget it. We are moving to Unit 3. I hope this Unit 2 is quite clear, and I don't think I need to put more clarity on any of these points that I have raised earlier. So we move to Unit 3. The following topics need your attention. Principles in dealing with conflicts. The principles in dealing with conflicts, we are looking at the best practices that you can employ when conflicts arise in schools or in organizations. How do you resolve those conflicts? So those principles, you should read around them and make sure that you know all of them, so that any of them that we ask in examination, you are able to recall them. And we furthermore look at the sources of conflict in schools. The sources here, we mean what are those things that are causing conflict to occur in schools. Of course, we talk of cultural, political, and all those factors. Because, say for example, you are a principal and maybe you are aligned to a certain political party, and the community members who have the kids in the same school, they are aligned to other political party. Those will also bring some conflict in school, because some parent will use those political affiliation as a weapon to attack you and to remove you. So those are the sources of conflict in the school. Culture. You are from, for example, commerce, then you go and teach in Zambezi, just for clarity's sake. Of course, those are different environment with different cultural practice. Some parents will feel, no, this person is from Karas, or this person is from Msati or Hangwena. Then you come to teach in Zambezi. They feel like you are intruding their territory. They will not really understand that, no, this person is just professionally employed, and the aim is just to educate, nothing else. So with that cultural differences, they will try to use that as a weapon to attack you. So all those are the sources of conflict in the school. Sometimes also resources. Shortage of resources in school can also cause conflict in school, because people will start, for argument's sake, you have only one projector in the school. This is your class now, and my next class, my next lesson is mine. Now, upon coming to the staff room to collect the projector, you already took it. Now, what will happen? You will end up fighting over this projector. Not only that, even the books and other resources in the school that is used by the teachers to enable the teaching and learning to take place. it can also occur. Sometimes learners are also sharing books. That can also bring conflict. They are given a homework, for example. That homework, now because there are only books that are limited and 5 learners are sharing one book, and the due date is in 2 days, or you are only given a homework that you need to submit tomorrow. Now people, here we think of a question of who will use this book first and the time limit. So those are the sources of conflict. Just a few examples that I've given there. So once you look at your book, you'll be able to find more examples that you can give, especially in examination. Then you look at the functional and dysfunctional conflict. Of course, we must know what we mean by functional and dysfunctional conflict. They are very clear in your book. A little bit of explanation are given in your book, what we mean by functional and dysfunctional conflict. And the types of conflict in schools. Types of conflict that exist in schools. This is a sort of, we look at different things are happening in schools that can cause different types of conflict that may arise in schools. So what you need to do is just to go back to your book. Because what I like about your module, just for argument's sake, many things in your book, they are very straightforward. Especially the way it appears in the presentation. Some of them may exactly be the same way they appear in your guide. So for this module, like as we are giving the presentation, it might also appear as kind of sort of a scope, because some of the things you cannot change them. They are the way they are. So that's why sometimes I tell your former colleague that you have no reason to fail, because some of these things are very straightforward, and if you have time to read, obviously you will be able to pass. But remember, you can never have anything, the brain will never have anything if you don't feed it with anything. We move to Unit 4. Unit 4, we are looking at the psychological reasons for resistance to change. There are certain psychological reasons for resistance to change in the organization. For example, you want to implement maybe e-learning. There is fear of unknown will always be there. People will fear, maybe I may not be able to use this IT systems that is being implemented, and because of that fear, people will start resisting because they are afraid. Because what we mean by psychological reason, we mean those things that affect you as a person, to say, really, am I really good at this? So it's a self-defeat. So then you start resisting to say, no, we have been doing this, we don't want what you are proposing. So there are a lot of reasons there that we talk of that address this point about the psychological reasons for resistance to change. One of them that I have mentioned is fear of unknown, and of course there are a list of quite a number of reasons that are given in your guide. But then because of the time, I cannot really go point to point. But I at some point I give 3 reasons. At some point I give 1. At some point I give 2. If you are lucky, I give 4. But at least you get what I'm trying to say here. Then you have the next topic of interest: phases in resistance to change. Of course, as resistance takes place, there are different phases that this change goes through. You should read that one and be aware of those, or acquaint yourself with what are those phases in your study guide. Conductions conducive to change. So what we mean here is that what are the behaviors that you must carry out that are very positively responding to change that is being implemented in the organization? Those are very straightforward. You support even all those things that you can do to make sure that if everyone is helping one another, of course, the change will be smooth and there will be no problem to anybody because you are all working as a team. So those are the conditions to change. We are moving forward. We move to Unit 5. We look at the following topics. Stress. You should know what we mean by stress and the effect of stress on the body. Of course, stress, that's a psychological body reaction to certain things. And the effect of stress on the body, sometimes you may feel headache, anxiety, and the other feelings that you may start developing as you are stressed. Sometimes even anger. Because if you are stressed and I want to borrow something from you, of course, that resentment you have, you will not be able to respond positively to me. Stressors in the school. Stressors in the school, we are looking at the teacher-learner ratio. Teacher-learner ratio, sometimes some classes are too much overcrowded. Sometimes teachers are not paid well. And the more you are not affording to buy certain things and you need to work, the more stressful you becomes. The more learners you have in your classroom and you have to attend to all of them, the more frustrated you becomes. And all those are the stressors. Sometimes lack of resources are also part of the stressors in the school. We are moving to another topic of interest, which is organizational stress symptoms. There are certain things that you can look within the organization that shows that the organization is going through stressful situations. You find that people will start showing some sort of behavior that are more strange. So once you look at that topic, you pick up most of those symptoms that appears in your organization that shows that you are not happy at all. So these are very good topics and they are straightforward. So I don't think if any one of you read thoroughly and where you find it challenging, you ask me to take you through the presentation or through that unit, that I can pinpoint those factors. And I don't think it will be a problem to any of you. Okay, we move to Unit 6. We are looking at the features of school as an organization. Of course, the school is an organization like any other organization because it has also structures. We have principal, head of department, subject head, teachers, etc., etc. And you have also those non-academic staff, or you call them support staff. So when you look about the school as an organization, you realize that certain factors which are similar to other organizations will appear, and they are very clear in your books. Then we look at theories of motivation by Maslow. The theories of motivation here, we are looking at what needs to be done to make sure that people are motivated and they are happy. The issue of basic needs, the issue of shelters, the issue of self-actualization, the issue of security and safety. Teachers cannot be just harassed and you still expect them to work well. You need to motivate them to make sure to ensure them that your safety is ensured here. Hence, this environment is safe for you. So those are the theories of motivation that we are talking about. It's just about Maslow's theory. So if you look at the Maslow's theories, you look at the physiological needs and all those things and the example that are given there. Those are the motivations. If those Maslow's theories, he's just talking about what you need to do for people to live happy within the community. For example, if you talk about the other issue that I alluded earlier, the security issue or safety. Say you are teaching in a school, no fence, no nothing. Anyone can just pass any or enter any at any place, and you can be worried every time that anybody can intrude in your classroom and come and harass you there, or a lion can just walk in the school at any time, like some schools are in remote areas. Those are the safety that we are talking about. Even the job security also. We need to make sure that at least within next 40, 30 years, I can still be in this work, and I can still get a better salary. I can get leave. I can get what if ABC happen. I can be allowed to go and attend to it, etc., etc. So those are the basic information I can give to support you to understand this theory. Then we look at the Unit 7, barriers of effective planning. Very, very critical and very clear. Barriers of effective planning, as it appears in the presentation, that's the same way it appears in your study guide. And there's nothing really I need to explain much here, because everything is quite straightforward. What you need to just create a good bound with your book, and start or rather your study guide, and start really paying attention to some of these topics that I been pointed out here, so that you'll be able to know what we are talking about. Barriers, those things that are preventing effective planning to take place. Component of planning, the issue of organizing and all these things that we are talking about. How do you plan? Leading and all this, then you become a successful planner. Those are the things that we are looking at in this unit. Then Unit 8. The area of interest, we are looking at types and styles of problem solving. Types and styles of problem solving. So we look at different types and styles of how we solve our problems within our school as organization. Then we look at the relationship between problem solving and decision making. Here we are looking at the problem solving and decision making. You can't make decision while, or let me put it in this way, you can't make effective decision while you have a lot of problems on the ground. So you have to make sure that you solve those problems, then you make decision that is more acceptable to everyone. Then it makes it Good. So you look at that, read around that, the relationship between problem solving and decision making. How does problem solving influence decision making? That's the essence of it. How to make effective decision making in groups. You must also read about that one. What is that you need to take into consideration to make effective decisions if you are working as a group. And or rather, you can also put it in a bracket as a team. How can you make effective decision as a team? We are moving on to Unit 9. Importance of effective organizing as a management task. You know, you have different management tasks: organizing, leading, planning, etc., etc. Now we only took importance of organizing as a management task. It's kind of like in your study guide. It's kind of well described in detail, and you should familiarize yourself with that. Effective organizing is a management task. Then the relationship of authority, power, responsibility, and accountability with delegating. Power, authority, responsibility, and accountability with delegating. Of course, delegation is one of the very important element of management task. However, the issue of power, authority, responsibility, and being accountable for certain things that are happening, we are looking at those relationships. What happens if you delegate as a person in power or as an authoritative figure? Will you still be accountable for if things did not go well? So that's how, if you read around this topic, those are the things that will be ironed out. That okay, if this happened, this should still be connected to the authority or to the person in charge who have the power to control the whole organization. Principles of effective delegating. Delegating means you are giving the task to somebody to do the work on your behalf. Now, there's a certain principles of effective delegating those tasks, and they are very clear in your book. So we cannot really go in detail on this platform, but once you go on that page, you realize that those effective or those principles of effective delegation, they are well explained quite clearly in your book. Then we look at Unit 10, which I think is the last topic for this presentation. Motivation, guidelines for school leaders. As a school leaders, how do you go about motivating others? That's what we mean by that. Different types of powers. There are different types of powers, the referent powers, the expert powers. You should know them. Because in examination, we might ask one of them. Sometime in examination, we ask, can you give the difference between the following power? Or sometimes we just ask a question like, name and explain two types of powers any school leader can have. Then you must be able to tell, okay, we have a referent power, we have expert power, etc., etc. Then you should be able to differentiate between the two. Then theories of motivation by Maslow. I have already exhausted this point on the other unit. As you can see, some unit, they are having almost similar topics, of which if you master one, sometimes you don't need even to read this one again because you have already known what we mean by motivation, theories of motivation by Maslow. The issue of people should be satisfied. People should realize that, yes, I have grown and all my needs are well fulfilled. Thank you very much for your time and for listening to me, and I hope you will enjoy reading your module, and the presentation will be of good importance. Thank you.